Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we're going to talk about some changes to the Apple Podcast website, Alex Jones being on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, and a whole lot more, so go ahead and stick around. Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to episode 164 of the BSP. My name is Bandrew. This is What I Says. Like always, down below, there are timestamps of everything that I talk about, so you can skip around and save a couple of minutes. But if you got the time, I would appreciate you listening to the entire episode. Want more shows? Go ahead and check out geeksrising.com. And if you want a different version of this particular podcast, check out bandrewsays.com. Let's start with some rather light news. We'll talk about some changes to the Apple Podcast website. Now, you can play podcasts directly from the Apple Podcast website. Previously, if someone were to search for your show online and they came across the iTunes website, which I believe is still the URL, still has iTunes in it, and they clicked listen to this show, it would kick them out of their browser to iTunes or the Apple Podcast app. Now it has a play button for each individual episode. That is really the entire story. I think this is actually good news for creators, though. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but it's good news because this is another place where people can locate and listen to your show, and it is made much, much easier to consume your show. So they do not have to download any kind of app. They can listen directly in their browser very, very easily. So good on you, Apple, for doing something good with podcasts and not forcing everybody's hand with your weight, throwing your weight around. That's it for that. Next, we got the big story. Alex Jones was just on the Impulsive podcast, which is Logan Paul's show. I'm going to start this or preface this by stating I am going to try to keep this as politically agnostic as possible because I hate politics, but chances are I will not be able to do so because this will seem as though I am taking a political side. If you don't want to hear that, feel free to skip this story. I will not hold it against you, but I will try to loop it all back around to what it means for you as a creator. And I want to start discussing this story by pointing out how misleading a lot of the news stories headlines were. It all made it sound like Alex Jones is back on YouTube. Alex Jones avoids ban thanks to Logan Paul. Things along those lines. And yes, technically that is all true, but it makes it sound as though Alex Jones had his channel reinstated because Logan Paul pulled some strings. And I understand it becomes very clear what they're saying if someone were to read the actual article, but by making their headline that, people may just scroll by, see, Alex Jones is back on YouTube? Well, I guess that's weird. Logan Paul's an evil scumbag because he pulled some strings and got this conspiracy theorist's channel back. But moving on, while I was reading these articles, it really did seem like there was one main complaint that was coming from these news outlets. Alex Jones was banned, and therefore he should no longer be on the platform at all. Nobody should be able to have them on his channel. There should be no clips of him. There should be no nothing. Alex Jones should be completely erased from the YouTube platform. I understand their argument. And there is a very big problem, in my opinion, with that. If you were to completely wipe him off of the platform, that would mean no clips of him. And I think that is very important when you are criticizing somebody to include clips of what you're criticizing for context. The reason I think that is important is the entire reason why Alex Jones got banned, or one of the main reasons why Alex Jones got banned. It was said that Alex Jones was calling for violence against the media with a clip that he had on Periscope, which was, have your battle rifles ready at your bedside table. But the way that this was conveyed was that Alex Jones was calling for violence on the news outlets, on these reporters, which just wasn't true. So here is the actual clip, the exact clip, without anything cut out, without anything. It is going to have a lot of long silences because Alex Jones just sits there for 5 seconds, 10 seconds sometimes. But here is that entire clip.
When those cowards come, and it's going to hit in the middle of the night, and they're coming. And they're coming. And they're coming. They think they can really take down America. And this is it. So people need to have their battle rifles and everything ready at their bedsides, and you got to be ready.
That's the clip that got taken out of context, and Alex Jones clearly said, have your battle rifles ready at your bedside. That is completely different than you better have your battle rifles ready. Completely different meanings. If I were to tell you to have a baseball bat next to your bed in case somebody breaks into your house, that's not the same as me saying that you should go out and start attacking people and become a vigilante. Completely different. That is why I think the complete deplatforming of somebody is scary. It makes it so easy to misconstrue what somebody is saying if you're not allowed to include clips. If you are able to include clips, there will be some news outlets and some people who are willing to share the entire context of something that they are criticizing, and I think that is very important. Now let's go ahead and change gears a little bit, and this is where it may start to sound a little bit political, so feel free to skip past this. Again, I will not hold it against you. Let's talk about mainstream media, and I understand that that term alone has a political tinge to it nowadays, but I think it's important for the context of the story that we're talking about. There is a lot of coverage, or there has been a lot of coverage over the last couple of years of the potential collusion between Russia and Donald Trump. The Mueller report and the Barr summary came out, and it doesn't appear that that was true. Therefore, these mainstream media outlets were pushing this story, pushing this narrative, which ended up being completely false, or potentially completely false. We need to see the full report in order to determine that. But if that's the case, wouldn't these mainstream media outlets and these hosts of those programs be guilty of pushing very dangerous conspiracy theories that likely led to threats of people within political offices? If that's the case, then could it not be argued that these hosts, these people, should also be deplatformed? Their YouTube channel should be completely deleted, and they should not be allowed to be interviewed, or people should not be allowed to clip them or host any of their content to criticize it anywhere on the internet other than their own website? Is that where we're at? I sincerely hope not. And I am just positing this because I believe that these people should continue to exist, just like I think Alex Jones should continue to exist and be allowed to be interviewed, and people should be allowed to re-upload his stuff if they have the right to. They should also be allowed to clip and criticize statements that these people make without risking having their channel be deleted or getting criticized by people for providing a platform. I think it's important that we have these conversations and discuss them and debunk the insanity that some of these people say. Alex Jones, especially, he says a lot of crazy stuff, and it would be very awful if we were unable to include clips or have him on to chat with him and say, hey, that idea right there, that's a little bit BS. That's crazy. Why do you think that? Stop it. You're wrong. And I think there should just be a certain level of consistency here. I don't want these news outlets to have their channels deleted, but that would be consistent. I think the better course of action, or the better outcome, would be not to ban people for having crazy ideas unless they are directly calling for violence. I think that's when they cross the line from, okay, you're crazy, to, oh, okay, you are a very dangerous person. I know some people are probably thinking, well, these mainstream outlets didn't call for violence. I don't think Alex Jones did either. You heard that clip. That's the reason that was given. He's calling for violence against the media. Doesn't seem like that was true. Therefore, I can kind of speculate that he was really banned, or they were just looking for any reason to ban him because he's a crazy conspiracy theorist. And if that's the case, we would also have to ban these mainstream media outlets who pushed this conspiracy theory of collusion between Donald Trump and his campaign and the Russian government and hackers and all of that. That's the entire point I'm trying to make. So let me now bring it around and wrap it all around and wrap it in a pretty little package is what this means for you as a creator. I think that right now, if you're trying to make a career out of being an online personality on someone else's platform, you need to be very careful about what you say because the mobs are out. They're out for blood. So if you cover anything political, if you're a political commentator, or if you're an edgelord and you do edgy humor, be careful. If you're a milquetoast creator like me, just a boring, middle of the road, nothing too controversial ever. If you're like me, chances are you won't have to worry about this. This has zero impact on you. But this gives me an opportunity to get on my soapbox that I get on way too much. If you're a creator anywhere online, if you have a Twitter account, if you have a YouTube account, if you have a Facebook page, you should also have an online hub that you own, your own domain, your own website that you let people know about and where you have some type of content so people will know where to find you if these websites ever disappear, if YouTube disappears, Facebook disappears, Twitter disappears, or if you get deplatformed, they will still have a place to go, find your content, find where you're uploading, and find what's going on with you as a creator. That's it. That's all the Alex Jones news. Long story, I guess, but I think it's important to push back against some of these narratives or some of these ideas that may seem okay for somebody like Alex Jones. People may think, you know what, he is a bit crazy. I'm glad that he's gone. And then extrapolate that to, well, who else could be considered crazy? Could I be considered crazy? Could you be considered crazy? Who's next? Essentially, what would happen if this becomes standard operating practice on these platforms where we want to ban you and deplatform you because we think you're crazy and there's outrage around you? That could happen to you tomorrow. Maybe your ideas are perfectly milquetoast today, but tomorrow there could be a big societal change, a change in the zeitgeist. Is that the correct word? Is that the right thing? I don't know. But the entire society's ideas may change and you may be targeted for online harassment, and that could lead to you getting banned. I just think it's a dangerous precedent to set, and I don't like it. Next story. YouTube TV's price has increased. Starting on May 13th, the price of YouTube TV is increasing to $50, and it's increasing because they added Discovery Network's channels. This includes the Discovery Channel, HGTV, the Food Network, TLC, Investigation Discovery, Animal Planet, the Travel Channel, and Motor Trend. And that is it for that story. Next one, we got Disney Plus launching on November 12th, 2019. It is going to cost $6.99 per month, and it's going to have content from Disney, surprise, surprise, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic. And I pulled the graphic that's in the video right here from Engadget's website, and it looks like during the first year, Disney Plus plans to have 7,500 past television episodes, 100 recent movie titles, 400 older movie titles, and they also plan to have 25 new episodic series and 10 new movies. Then in year 5, they plan to have 10,000 past television or episodic episodes. Bit redundant there. 120 recent films, 500 past films, 50 episodic series, and 10 movies or specials. And that is it for that story as well. Another very short story, and there is a lot of content on there. Disney owns so much that I think it's going to be very competitive, especially at that price. $7 a month, good pricing for them. I think it will do well. I'll link the Disney Plus website as well as the Investor Day announcement summary from them. Go check it out if you're interested in that. Now let's go ahead and talk about what I have been testing, and it has been the iPad mini, the brand new iPad mini, which I believe, if I remember correctly, starts at $400. And I'll just say that this is the best iPad I think I have ever used. I have used multiple iPad Pros. I started on the iPad Air 2, but this is the one that I have used the most and enjoyed using the most. Why do I like it so much, though? Why am I singing its praises? First off, the size and the weight, those are the big things. If you want to just sit on your couch and browse the internet and browse social media, but your phone isn't big enough, or maybe you just want more screen real estate, maybe you want to see stuff a little bit bigger so you don't strain your eyes, I would pick this every single time over an iPad Pro or an iPad Air or any 10.5 or 9.7 inch iPad or 12 inch iPad. I also love the fact that this thing has a fingerprint ID sensor. It has, what is it? Touch ID? That's what it's called. Because that allows me to have a camera cover over the front of it. I love that, and my paranoid brain thanks me for it every single day. One huge downside to this, though, I became acclimated to having 4 speakers, 2 on each side. So when you are watching in landscape mode, it has a stereo sound. The iPad mini does not have that, which is a huge letdown. I just really came to enjoy having a stereo sound. If you cover one side, you could still hear it. But now if you cover that, it's going to sound tinny and funny, and I don't like that. The thing that I found myself using this the most for is just chatting on Discord, reading up on the news, reading audiobooks. Reading audiobooks. Yes, that's what I do. I read audiobooks. What's wrong with me? I think I had a stroke, or maybe I have a brain tumor. I don't know. I'm a complete idiot. Read Kindle books while listening to the audiobook. That's what I like. I like listening to podcasts and watching YouTube, just all around. Even if I wanted to record on this, I would be perfectly able to do that. I'm not doing 3D rendering. Why do I need something as powerful as the iPad Pro? I likely don't. This does everything that I needed to do, and it has a headphone jack. How amazing is that? I guess one other thing that I would like would be a smart keyboard connector, but the keys would be so small for a keyboard for this. That's it. Been using the iPad mini, and it is my favorite iPad to date, and I love it. I almost want to buy another one in case they change the form factor to include Face ID. That way, when this one breaks, I have a backup. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe in a year or two, I'll do that. Let's jump to what you had to say now. First comment comes from Random Geocacher. He says, I don't understand how that law proposal makes any sense. Broadly speaking, unilateral laws that outlaw actions in other countries are unsound. There are exceptions in terrorists, sex, drug laws, but they are not necessarily intelligent exceptions. 2, I cannot imagine a country attempting a company's X% of international profit would be successful. If they would be, all small countries would immediately finance their economy with such laws. If such laws aren't defeated in sane national courts, it will eventually be defeated in some international trade law setting. Random Geocacher, that is a very interesting point that you brought up, and I thought about this, and I had some conversations in the Podcastage Discord voice chat last night, and I think there is a good reason why that wouldn't work for smaller countries to go ahead and do that. As I stated last week, it would make 0 sense for Amazon or Facebook or any large company to risk 10% of their global revenue to function in a country that only provides 1% or 2% of their income. That would make no sense. They would either kill all the features that would potentially lead to that fine, or they would just leave that country. Now imagine if that country was Liechtenstein or Monaco, and they were trying to implement a law like this, but they only had 38,000 citizens, which I believe both countries do. I can guarantee you Facebook would say, all right, see you later. We're out of here. They're not going to risk 1% of their revenue to function in a country that only has 38,000 potential users. I can guarantee you, not all 38,000 people in Monaco or Liechtenstein actually use Facebook. I don't think it would work unless there was a significant amount of money to be lost by pulling out of those countries. If it was a smaller country, I could easily see them just pulling out. Okay, well, you don't get our service, And then the citizens within that country would criticize the government for taking away their Facebook, their little crack thing, the little give me a hit of dopamine in my brain for all these likes I'm getting. They would lose their mind. And then the government would say, okay, we're sorry, Facebook, come back, please. We won't try to fine you. We may see similar things with Australia, with the EU. I can't imagine any of these companies really pulling out of the EU. There's too much money there. But with Australia, with 1, maybe 5% max of their global revenue, probably less than that, I could see them agreeing to some changes, but not, maybe just killing the features. I think that's probably what will happen. But that was a very good question, random geocacher. I appreciate you asking that, and it was fun to think about why that wouldn't work, why Australia might be able to get away with it, and why smaller countries simply wouldn't be able to. Great question, and thank you for making me think. Next comment comes from American Liberty. Why any platform allows live broadcast video content to be uploaded from a non-vetted, unverified user is beyond me. All these platforms have sunk their teeth into the community guidelines and all content executive producer roles. Now, in turn, they find themselves, predictively, being burdened by legal responsibility along with financial and criminal accountability. After being warned of its poisonous nature, they partook of the forbidden fruit, nevertheless. American Liberty, I just love how dramatic it got at the end. It sounded like it came out of some epic poem, out of the Iliad or the Odyssey. I don't think those are the same thing. Maybe the Bible with the forbidden fruit. That was awesome. I don't agree with you, though. With that logic, the argument could be made for photographs. People will upload illegal photographs, whether it be underage people in, you know what I'm saying, or it could be copyrighted stuff. Same thing with sound. People will upload horrendous sounds, illegal stuff. Why would that be allowed? With this logic, it could be said, well, there shouldn't be any user-generated content. And then that leads to the question, well, how do you become vetted? If you're not able to live stream and prove that you won't abuse it, how do you become vetted to start live streaming? Do they base it off other behaviors? And what would stop somebody from pretending that they're a good actor and then once they gain access to the live streaming capability, then abuse it and do something awful? I don't think there's any way to really stop it if you want to allow anybody to stream at all. The only solution would be no more user-generated content, no more live streaming, no more uploading of photos, no more uploading of posts, no more uploading of audio, unless it's just on your own hub. You own it, you're legally liable for it. That's the only way that I could see all of these issues being resolved, which I don't want. I don't want that. I don't want to go back to just everybody has their own website. I think you should have your own website, but I like the central hub of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I love that. But good comment, fun to think about. Now let's jump to my favorite part of the podcast, the Ask Bandrew segment. Wrong theme. All right, guys. If y'all got any questions, go ahead and send them to askbandrew@gmail.com, and I will answer them on an upcoming episode of the show. You can also send in audio or video if you don't want to listen to me read because I butcher what I'm reading, and it's painful for the both of us. First email comes from Ricky. He says, "Hi, Bandrew. I'm Ricky. I'm a huge fan of the BSP and podcastage. Thank you very much, Ricky. Appreciate you. I have a question. I am starting a new podcast and will do 100% of the recording on mobile devices, Backpack Studio and Spreaker Studio, as it's easier, versatile, and uses less equipment. But I have a problem with terrible background noise at my busy house and outdoors. I have a Shure MVI audio interface and an SM58, thanks to your awesome reviews, and wanted to ask a silly question. Will a guitar noise gate pedal work for microphones using a 1/4-inch cable? As you can tell, I have never touched an instrument in my life. I couldn't tell that. You could easily if you touched an instrument before or played an instrument. No reason for me to assume you didn't. If not, Is there any hardware that can be used to suppress background noise for mobile podcasting, or will I just need to use programs like Ferrite, Hokusai, and Brusfree in post? Thank you. Ricky, that is a very good question, and I will start by saying I don't have a guitar noise pedal to test this out. Otherwise, I would have happily done so, because you raised a very interesting idea. If anybody watching or listening to this has a guitar noise suppressor or a noise gate, and they have a microphone with the XLR to quarter-inch cable and a quarter-inch to quarter-inch, or maybe quarter-inch to XLR, try this out. See if this would work. I do have a theory, and my theory is that it would not work. The reason I say that, a guitar noise pedal is set up to receive instrument-level input, which is what comes out of a guitar, while a microphone outputs microphone level, which is significantly lower than an instrument. Therefore, the pedal is going to be expecting hotter signals, and the threshold of the noise gate will be higher because it's expecting 0 decibels as opposed to negative 60. I don't know if it's that drastic. I didn't look up the ranges of each of the inputs, but I think you understand. I think that illustrates the point. If a noise gate's threshold is expecting, let's say, negative 10 decibels, but your input signal is negative 50, you're probably never going to exceed that threshold, and the gate will never open. Additionally, I imagine the characteristics of a noise gate for a guitar that's running into a really noisy amplifier is going to be very different than what would be necessary for a natural sounding voice noise gate, vocal noise gate. So I don't think, as cool as it would be, I just don't think it would work. As I said, if somebody out there does have a noise pedal, a noise gate, a guitar noise gate, and microphones with the necessary cables, please try it out and send in an example of it if it does work. And if any electricians out there, maybe we should do this. Make a series of little guitar pedals, but they're made for microphones. That would be cool. Noise gate, EQ, compression. That would be awesome. That is actually a really good idea. Why has nobody done that? That's a great idea. Copyright, trademark, but any electricians, any gear designers, hit me up. Let's work on this. Great question. As far as any small form factor, physical noise removal stuff, I don't know of any. The smallest one I can think of is the 286S. Yeah, I can't think of any other ones. You could get a little preamp, but that's not going to help you. I don't know of any little preamps that have noise gates or anything. Sorry, man, but that's a great question, and it led to a good idea. That should be done. Hit me up if you're a designer. Let's work on this. Podcastage pedals. Next email comes from the 6th Impact. Hi, Bandrew. It's Bandrew, but I'll continue. I have been watching your content for a couple years now, and it has even made me pull the trigger in terms of purchasing audio-related products. But now I am starting to podcast with 4 other people using a modest setup. 4 Audio-Technica ATR 1500 microphones and the Behringer UMC 404 HD. Great setup for the price. I hope you got the UMC 404 HD before they jacked up the price. And although the audio face has not yet arrived, I have had to try and find a solution to the problem of us being one microphone input short for the last person. Was wondering if you had any idea for what we could do to minimize problems that would occur sharing a microphone between 2 people. Thanks for reading. P.S. We are using Samson MK10 stands. Awesome email. 6th Impact. It's not going to be an ideal situation. There are 2 solutions. First, I would recommend just putting the microphone in between yourself or in between the 2 people who are sharing it. And then whenever a person needs to speak, move right in front of the microphone, speak into it as if it was their own, and then move away and let the other person jump onto the microphone if they need to talk. That will give you the most flexibility. The other option, which is definitely not ideal, would be use an XLR splitter run that out to 2 microphones, and then you have 2 microphones going into a single channel. But the problem would arise when they spoke at the same time. I believe that would aggregate into a much louder signal, and you would likely clip the preamp, and it would just be terrible. I haven't tried that, but I would not recommend that. I would just share the microphone, put it in between them, and then have them get on microphone whenever they have something to say. Unfortunately, no better solution. Now, let's jump to the last email, which is actually a video submission. Let's listen to that or watch that right now.
Video's going. Audio's going. Greetings, Bandrew. Let's go back at it again with another question for you. I promise today's question is going to be a lot easier than last time. Today's question for you is, what are some good practices to get into when starting a podcast? What are some good habits to start off with? And what are some good habits to avoid when recording your first episode? Thank you very much. I'm waiting your response.
Eldest Bro coming through with another video submission. Thank you so much for sending that in. An amazing question. If you don't know, Eldest Bro is an amazing member of the Podcasters Discord server. He co-hosts the Fourth Wall Alliance on YouTube. Go check him out. Awesome guy. Beginning podcaster practices. I came up with a list of 6 of them. Let's go through them. I hope these help with you launching your podcast. First one is something I don't think enough people do. Step 1, prepare. One of the easiest ways to improve your podcast, the final product, is to spend time preparing for the show. Create an outline, do some research, chat with your co-hosts. What do you want to cover this week or this month in this episode? What is it going to be about? How can we format it to work well? How can we format it to provide the most value to our audience? Make it the most fun. Prepare. A lot of people don't do that. They just jump on the microphone and rant for hours and hours, and it's trash. Don't be trash. Be prepared. What is that? Is that the new Boy Scouts of America? Don't be trash. Be prepared. Number 2, get to the point. We all like bullshitting with our friends. It's awesome. Going and hanging out over a pizza, talking crap, talking conspiracy theories, talking music, talking microphones. But why? Why would you put that in a podcast? It makes 0 sense. Is it adding anything to the episode? Probably not. If you're making an episode about microphone technology, don't start the episode, don't even include the 10 minutes of you and your co-host talking about the new iPad and why you think Face ID is insane. Don't do that. Get to the point, because people are tuning into your show to hear you discuss microphone technology, not iPads and your paranoia. Do as I say, not as I do. Number 3, remember the audience. This is something that has increasingly bothered me, where the hosts of a show have inside jokes, or they just start an episode laughing and giggling and having the best time. I think that the reason podcasts have become so popular, at least for me, is not only am I able to find a show discussing exactly what I'm into, but a good host makes it as though I am a part of that conversation or that I am able to chime in. If you and your co-host have these inside jokes that you find funny, but your audience does not know what is funny about that joke, it kind of breaks that illusion, kind of sets you apart from them, makes them feel like they're outsiders, and they won't feel as connected to you. That's probably not necessary to be on the list, but I think that's a big thing that kind of bothers me, and I think more people should realize, hey, we have an audience, maybe let's explain the inside joke, or just don't bring your inside jokes onto the show. Number 4, probably the most important, edit. Edit the show. For the love of God, edit your podcast. There are plenty of people who will ignore editing, the need to edit. They just don't like it for some reason. And my advice is to actually edit the episode. Did you go on a sneezing fit for a minute? Cut that out of the episode. Nobody needs to hear that. Did you spend 5 minutes Googling something that you were discussing? Why is that in the show? Cut it out. Doesn't need to be there. If there's a 10-second silence, shorten it up a bit. Do what you need to make it the best you possibly can. If you go off topic, cut it out of the show. Try to make it as concise as possible. In my opinion, I know it's all taste-based, but I think a lot of people will avoid editing because it seems daunting, which it definitely can be, but it's ultimately detrimental to avoid the editing process because the final product will be worse for the listener. And also, it doesn't give you that time to reflect on what you're doing in the episode and find what you need to work on or what you need to remove in future recording sessions. Like if I say like a lot or so a lot or a lot or a lot, which is driving me absolutely insane. I notice so many people say, effing 30, 40, 50 times an episode. It drives me bonkers. So edit, please. That was number 4. Number 5 would be consistent. When you set that agreement, that initial contract between yourself and your audience, that there will be a new episode every single Monday or Sunday, or maybe once a month. I think it's really important to stick to that schedule. I should point out, I think it's only important if you want to grow your audience or become a part of your listeners' schedule, of their weekly schedule or monthly schedule, whatever your release schedule is. I think it's important because if they know every Sunday night your show is going to come out, it will let them jump onto YouTube, find your video, and watch it Sunday night. Or they may say it comes out Sunday night. That means every Monday morning I can go to the gym like Stargate Pioneer and work out and scream at my phone because Bandrew's such a dope. He's never said that. Probably should, but he hasn't. It just lets your audience build you and your show into their schedule, and that makes it much easier for them to find your content. So it's less about you and more about your audience. And if your audience really likes what you're doing, it may lead to them sharing it around. Number 6, have fun. Don't forget that. It's so easy to get bogged down in the numbers, the editing, the preparation, all of the stuff that I mentioned above. Don't forget, this is supposed to be fun. Chances are you're not starting this to be a business. If you are, don't listen to anything I'm saying. Go hire a podcast coach and work with them. But if you're doing it because you want to hang out with your friends and talk D&D or talk microphones or talk movies, have fun with it. Yeah, there is a lot of work that goes into it. That's to be expected. People who don't think podcasts take work are the type of people who don't edit, they don't remember the audience, they don't get to the point, and they're not consistent. If you do those things and you still have fun, you're golden. So just do not forget to have fun. So there you have it. Those are my 6 beginner podcast practices or best practices for beginner podcasters. Not sure what I should clip that as, but it'll be something like that. I hope that helped you prepare and get ready to launch your show whenever you do launch that. Best of luck to you, eldest, and thank you again for sending in so many good questions. I appreciate you. That is going to wrap up the show. We are at personal stuff. We did it. We hit 100,000 subscribers on podcast, and what? I don't know what to say. So I won't say anything other than thank you guys so damn much. What an amazing... I never thought I'd hit it. And you guys helped me get there. You are all amazing. Everybody in the Discord server, everybody on YouTube, you are all absolute frickin' legends. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you next week. If you liked it, thumbs up on YouTube, share it with a friend, bandrewsays.com, geeksrising.com. See you next time. Bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer of Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.